and then minimize that. Yeah.
Ready?
All right.
Ready. All right. Call this meeting to order. This is a BET special meeting, Monday, August 29th. Notice the meeting was properly posted on Thursday, August 25th, 2022. Item number 1, discussion possible action regarding September supplement appropriation amending the Oklahoma County General Fund budget for fiscal year 22-23. Total supplement is not to exceed $8,293,406.
Yeah, so that document was attached. It's the revenue estimates plus fund balance for next fiscal year, which is the middle column. This is the budget that we adopted. When we built the budget initially, then that's after we closed out the year, and we got the assessed valuation numbers from the assessor's office, which came out to the 83 million. Gave us 3.6 million more in property tax than we had budgeted. And then the other categories, as you go down the line here. One I wanted to point out was interest income. Conversations with Mark Cycle in the treasurer's office and Christie. Estimating about 2.8 million. We only budgeted 100,000. The bulk of that, I think Mark had said, count on about 2 million of that being for the ARPA fund, money that goes into the general fund from the ARPA fund. So, that'll be a one-time revenue source during the fiscal year. As we spend those ARPA dollars down, the interest will go down that we goes into the general fund.
If we didn't spend all of the ARPA money this fiscal year and there was something carried over, we'd also see a little bit of that, obviously not the full amount, right?
Correct. Yeah. So you add all the revenue up, it's about 6.9 million more than what we had budgeted. The fund balance came in about 1.4 million more than we had budgeted. So all total, that makes up the supplement of 8,293,406.
Which is, if you take that interest out, which we weren't, really anticipating, it gets us back in line with the numbers that we were anticipating. We were talking about between 5 and 6 million.
That's correct.
That's like 5.6.
Yeah.
Yep. So when we're going through this, I think we do need to keep in mind that 2.7 additional, which is the interest income, is not something that we can necessarily, that we shouldn't count on moving, into future fiscal years. To Brandon's point, we may have some, but we need to be careful funding ongoing expenses with that additional amount, because that additional amount may not be there going forward.
Correct. And I highlighted the reval revenue because if we change their budget during this supplemental process, let's say we do cost of living adjustments, the revenue in turn will change also. So we'll have to update that.
Anybody have any questions related to the document? Okay, if not, then let's move to other agenda items. Stacy's here, so let's go ahead and start with items 3 and 4. We can have those discussions and then we'll get into item 2 after that. Item 3 is discussion possible action regarding fire code inspection and repair issues.
Yeah, I just want to make you guys aware that we are now the authority having jurisdiction now over all fire code issues within our unincorporated area. And that includes our buildings as well. They're 2 separate issues. Out in the unincorporated areas, we will try to pass the costs on to the developers as we have to perform these new inspections. So that should be a break even and not impact, the budget team. We're still learning about what we need to charge and so forth, but I think that'll come out okay. But for our own buildings, there's going to be some new requirements. Most of them are coming out of the labor department for new inspections that they haven't had to do in the past. And Keith has actually budgeted the old inspections that they had to do, and so he's got some money in his budget. The new inspections aren't budgeted, and then any repairs that we would have to do from these inspections is not budgeted. So I don't know if you want to put a number on the watch list or something that as we, things come up and we need monies. I just didn't want you to budget all the money out and not know that these items are out there. So
Do you have an idea of an amount to put on the watch list?
if I were gonna start it out, I would put $50,000 on the watch list for potential inspection and repairs due to these issues.
Well, so the inspections though are gonna be a requirement, so we're gonna have to do the inspections. Do you have a dollar amount for that?
I don't. I'm trying to get one right now from one of our vendors.
Okay. We've got our regular scheduled meeting on the 6th. Maybe you can have some numbers on the 6th. I think on those, we probably need to consider splitting out. If you have an idea on the actual inspections, those are going to be known expenses that we're going to have to do. Regardless, we're going to need to fund that, obviously. And then potential repairs are going to be, guesstimations, and those
Right.
I would anticipate being a watch list item. Any?
Oh, I think that's good thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, so you don't need any action today.
No, I just wanted to introduce the item to you.
Okay, well, you've got another item, which is item 4, discussion possible action regarding first floor south side space utilization upgrade.
Yes, now, there's a project that's approved to do the new front entrance with the ARPA funds. We can't start that project until we get the books moved from the clerk's office. We've been working closely with Danny. We've got, we moved some of them onto the west, so Chantel's moving to the 3rd floor, that's already been approved. And then some of the flat files are coming up to the 2nd floor, west end down here. And I'm gonna locate those down there, and then we're still gonna have some extra books that we need to move over to the other side of the hall. And that space is only being used now by our contractor as a staging area, and he should be out of there by October. And then we need to build the space out, at least flooring and lighting and ceiling. Won't need a lot of, nice finishing, we don't need that. But we're gonna need to put some money into that side of the hall, get ready so we get the books over out of our way so we can bid the other project, which people are getting really excited about and want that to get started. And I anticipate $125,000 should cover the cost of that side of the first floor.
Was it posed to, since books are having to be moved for the prime entrance project, which ARPA covered, did we ask if it would do the books too?
I don't think that wasn't part of that ARPA ask.
I think to Christie's point, that was a note that I had, and but
If
for
that's
that
part-
project, we wouldn't be looking at that. So I would definitely recommend having that conversation. Now, on records preservation, would those fees be allowed to be utilized for that?
We've been instructed that not for construction, like building out the other side of the hallway for the books, no.
Okay. Well, okay.
Ideally, we'd like all the books to go just right across the hall instead of coming up here.
Well, when bringing these books up here, just your flat files.
Right, the files, right, yeah.
Okay. So that's out. So we got potential general fund, potential ARPA. Let's run that trap to see, because that's part of that.
We're having to
That
do it for
process.
that.
Right. Okay. And you're not ready to move on this anyway because your contractor is still utilizing that space, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If this is something that we need to have a little bit shorter time frame on and get money in line, if you would talk to the ARPA folks. And if that's a no-go and we need to have more discussion, once again, we've got our meeting on the 6th. It's not very long. I mean, it's a week away. But if you have information and you know absolutely it won't be able to be moved through the ARPA channel, then if you would, let us know and we can discuss it on our 6th meeting, September 6th. Does that work for everybody? Okay. All right. Item number 2, discussion possible action to make a recommendation to Oklahoma County Budget Board from BET. This is our item, I guess, that we can discuss, well, between this one and the first agenda item, what our goals and what our recommendation is going to be. I don't anticipate having all the answers today, but I spoke with Danny. We both kind of felt like getting started a little bit early and not waiting until next week, start having some conversations so we can get a fully vetted recommendation to the budget board in a timely manner for their September meeting. So
We've identified a few things that need to be addressed right off the bat. One is the DA state. They bumped their state portion up to $350,000. We included that increase on the revenue side, so we would have to increase their budget from 150 up to 350. So 200 of that would need to go to the DA state. 53,000 would be the amount that needs to go to the county audit because it's 1/10. That's statutory based on the calculations, so that comes right off the top. We've already made a few transfers for self-insurance out of reserve and 40,000 to general government for outside legal. So added that column just to kind of show how much left we had in reserve. And then it's been brought to our attention on the Vicinity energy bill. Talking to Keith Monroe, this is what we had estimated the budget to be. So we had budgeted 600,000, I believe, 600,000.
I think we're basically half of what.
650,000 what we budgeted. The first 2 months are almost double of the actual what was projected. So if you just use that percentage, it's like a 73% increase over the rest of the year. We would need an additional 422,265. I just bumped it up to even $1 million based on the projections. Sorry, I just said that wrong. Back to this number here. So we had budgeted 650. We're projecting almost $1 million based on the first 2 months. So we would need to put in an additional 350,000 to get back to the $1 million. Possibly.
They're the ones who supply the information, the budget, right? Tomorrow.
Correct. They provided an estimate back in April, and so far it's been almost twice what they estimated. So we can either include it in the general government budget, increase it, or put it on the watch list, knowing that we need to earmark these funds for later in the year and just kind of watch it as it goes throughout the year. But based on 2 months, it's not looking good.
2 hot months.
Yeah, really hot months.
And if they're off that much on their projections for a whole year.
Right.
Do we anticipate other utilities going on?
Haven't noticed that within the first couple months, so possible.
Yeah, I think there's several, my understanding is there's potentially several components to this increase. First, we're not under contract anymore, and they're trying to get that contract through. Rates, of course, are higher, and then you've got big portions, I believe, that are going to repay those additional expenses from February a year ago when you had all of those increased costs. I think they're starting to pass those back out to their consumers.
How much was it gonna cost to upgrade our boilers to produce our own?
I don't remember that number, but it was pretty substantial.
Is this just for this building, or does it include
Courthouse.
Judy and the jail?
Just the courthouse and annex,
Courthouse.
and investors capital. Yeah.
We may not be paying the investor
They
capital.
do, they pay back.
Okay,
Yeah, it's budgeted in the revenue side.
gotcha. You had pointed out county audit, DA state, and then the,
Possible 350 to go here. It's the reserve downtime and supplement down a little less than 7.7.
sure we're watching that, all that outside legal and self-insurance too.
Yeah, I think those are some big conversations we're gonna need to have outside legal and self-insurance. Gretchen, do you know if Erin has has an amount that she is?
Do we know who the jail uses for electricity? Same company?
Same.
Yeah. Have we heard from them?
I don't know.
What would it take if our prices are up so
Experience.
theirs?
The same, sure. This is the notes we had as we were going through the budget. Some of the things that we had not funded are in this column here. So these were the VT recommendations when we built the budget, and then we had pushed several things off into this column. So if you guys wanted to revisit that by department.
Can we make it a skosh bigger?
Scoosh.
I like quadrupling it.
We have some in utilities, they know what to do.
That's binoculars. I really can't with my telescope up here.
So yeah, these are all the general government items. That's the health premiums we discussed for criminal justice authority, whether to give them increase for the amount that they were going to increase. We pushed that off to September. Utilities, we just talked about that. Outside legal,
Yeah.
PA contract. And by departments, the requests from each of the departments, new positions, salary adjustments. Capital increases. Et cetera, et cetera.
Emergency management's, that's ARPA, yeah.
They're getting the building.
Yeah. You
Take that off.
can, yeah. What's the grand total?
Total was 10.4 million of all of those items that were added to the watch list.
actually added them to the
We
watch
didn't
list.
have it,
Yeah.
right, right.
I wonder if for Tuesday, we just address the three that county audit we have to do. And then the other one's kind of a contract, the DA. Those two seem simple. Then it's utilities, whether we go ahead and put it in general government or some, or put it on the watch list. And then maybe the rest of it, kind of do a big lump to get it into reserve. And then start working through these after that. I don't know if we'd have all the information we need to go through all this.
And then the cost of living adjustment, it's not on this
That would
notes,
be
but
another
that's something
thing.
we definitely discussed and
Yeah.
we would address in September.
Do we have an estimate of how much that would be?
Yeah, we've got,
8%, 3.3, I think.
so yeah, we had sent out some different options from 3% all the way up to 8% on what the cost would be. 3% would be 1.2 million and 8% across the board would be almost 3.4 million.
What was CPI in July, 8.5?
That's right.
CPI in July was 8.5, June 9.1, May 8.6. I won't go through all of them. The average has been 8.34.
We sent it out back during the budget. When we're building the budget.
You just send it to all of us again if you don't mind.
Yeah, we can send it out again.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's consistently all year been either at 1 month it was 7.5 and then another was 7.9, but every other month it's been in the mid 8s to even a little over 9% 1 month. So definitely on the upper end for CPI.
I know our office would definitely like to see something. It's just a matter of what level. Talked about it.
And maybe we look at, in the past we've done 3% COLA and 2% merit. With the CPI being out of control, it may be that we just, instead of doing the extra 2, if we are up in the 6, 7, 8%, if we did that, maybe we just do that and no 2% merit on top of that for this year and then see, the next year. I don't know, just a suggestion, but to keep our folks where they were spending wise, it's gonna take quite a bit.
I thought doing 8 or 8.5% were seriously losing money, Apples to apples.
That's half the supplement. Yeah, that's the scary thing. Really quick.
Okay, well,
Yeah, you take the 8%, that would leave you at 4.3 million, even if you went with the 8% cost of living adjustment. So that still protects the $2 million increase in the interest increase. We don't want to budget that out for next year. That could be addressed for some one-time expenses.
Well, does that address some of those other needs that, staff ask and stuff?
It does not. So if you just went with 8% and then you worked off of that, you'd have 4.3 million to address other items.
Well, I'm just talking about like District 3, you had an ask of 37,000, something like that. Would that address that? The 8% or whatever cost of living?
Jump like to their new position.
Would it affect a new position?
I don't know the answer.
Well, I do think, I mean, and we can continue having as many discussions as we want today. I'm open for the rest of the day. But I will say, at the end of the day, I think what we should do, whether we recess this until another meeting or adjourn until our regularly scheduled, we really should encourage our departments, as well as those of us sitting around the table, to look at what we requested before, knowing what cost of living looks like, knowing all of that, and see what are your priority needs that you did not get funded that we really need to look at, and what are some things that maybe can be revisited next fiscal year. Get those responses back, and that may kind of help us on our list. So if we do that, the list, Danny, that you had of the items that we put in the watch list, maybe the departments, when we, if Charlotte or could send an email out, for instance, to Grant. I noticed his deal was on there. You needed, I think it was $20,000 that we had on there. Is that still something? Now, I do know on his, it's actually looking like they're going to need more than what we had anticipated in that indigent fund. They've been using it even more, and
That's the GPS stuff, right?
yeah. And the outside entities, there's like $24,000 in lost bracelets. So, I mean, we're going to have to address that stuff eventually, but he's got, I mean, his is going to need to be a little bit higher. So that way he could respond and give you that information, and then we've got, accurate stuff. If you send an email to facilities, maybe they've got some stuff that they just, say, hey, just knock this off the list for now and we'll revisit it.
Can we send out a request to all the departments?
I just do it
along with the notes, the notes from,
Yeah, it can be one email to all of them, but delineated in there what their particular item
just give
was.
us an update on whether you still want to request these items or a lesser amount, or
You said you can't send that out?
just send that out,
Wouldn't that basically come down to any request that doesn't involve employee pay?
Well, Rick had mentioned new positions. So some departments on there might have new positions, and, from the time that they submitted the estimate of needs until now, they may have determined, yeah, we would still like that position, but it's something that we can rock along and not get it now, maybe look at it next fiscal year, or no, we still need this. And if it's something that can be pushed to a discussion for next fiscal year, then we won't need to spend a whole lot of time targeting that one particular thing. We'll just knock that off the list for now and be able to look at the things that are still targeted by the departments. So yes, I mean, it could still be additional employment dollars, whether it's raises or additional new employees. Those may still be requested from individuals, but the COLA, of course, will look at that going forward.
I certainly like the idea of just doing a COLA, not another merit again, just for the, like, everything's more expensive. Active groceries is 8% higher.
Well, it's going to be a struggle to get it to where our employees are in the same position that they were last year. Because we're talking 8.5% on COLA. And, we don't even have a number on there that's that high. So you're right. It's gonna be a struggle just to get up there with the COLA, let alone adding merit in there.
Danny, those figures are for 12 months, right?
Correct. Yes, it would be be retro back to July 1. Yeah, we can certainly add a 9%, 10% to this before we send it out.
What if we didn't make it retroactive? And we just started from, I don't know, October 1 or November 1?
Yeah, then we would just,
It would reduce that, but the one thing that we'll have to keep in mind, I mean, we had discussed earlier that the COLA would be retroactive, but I mean, that can all be changed. But when we're looking at the impact going forward, if we just do it for
Anyway.
9 or 10 months,
Then
then
we have to.
we have to make adjustments next year for that additional 2 months to annualize it.
I mean, I can tell you, I'm all in favor of at least an 8% cost of living adjustment. We've got the funds in the supplement to address it, and we have almost $4 million left over. And if we do it at 8%, I would say minimum 8%.
And that assumes 100% employment the rest of the year, which we know is not gonna happen.
Well, but we're talking about general fund entities, so any money that is not spent because you don't have 100% employment throughout that year will be rolled back over into next fiscal year. Because we all, like the yards, your employees that are on your special revenue accounts, we fund all of that, those additional raises out of those supplemental funds.
Yeah, I think 8% should be the minimum we should look at.
I think if you're calling it a COLA is a cost of living adjustment based on CPI. And that's if you're not at that number that the cost inflation is, then it's not really a COLA, it's just a readjustment.
Correct.
Anybody have anything else?
What's the group's pleasure? Do you think we should meet before the 6th, or do you think we should? I think I can get my priority list together pretty quickly from my people, so.
What do you guys want?
Does this agenda satisfy everything we would possibly need to make any adjustments, do you think? I feel like number 2 does.
Budget board's right here, the 15th, so it's our next regular meeting.
That's kind of what I was thinking, maybe not wait till the 6th, I don't know.
I think there's the CODA conference, but I'm sure either the elected or the chief can be here for the 15th.
When is coded?
It's that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday
The 14th, 15th, 16th?
up in Tulsa.
Yeah.
Or if we need to have a special budget board meeting where the electeds can be there for just the supplement, we can always do that.
Done that in the past, right?
What if we just talk about the few things that the 3 that you brought up today? Everyone talk to your elected official, talk to your elected official about the COLA, and start with that, and then we can work on everyone else's requests that we put off. Unless there's an emergency, of course, I mean, but.
Yeah, because then if we have all of those, including COLA, answered, then we know more what our dollar amount is that's left. Yeah. Brandon, I see where you're coming from. The only issue that I have is I don't think we could really get together on Friday. There's probably a lot of people that are gonna be out of town. Thursday, I don't know what everybody's schedule looks like this Thursday, but I think we would need to give at least a couple days to our departments to be able to get the information back to us. So, I mean, we could either recess this till Thursday, or we could just wait until next Tuesday to pick it back up.
I say Tuesday.
Will that get me, do you think we could finish it all on that Tuesday the 6th?
Well, no, not necessarily, no.
I just wanna make sure the clerk's office has enough time. It's pretty easy to sit around the table and talk about it, but they've got a lot of stuff to fill in the backside, I'm sure.
We appreciate that. I think we'd have enough time to put it all together before the 15th.
If we're done the 6th, or you mean just done in the week
Yeah.
of the 6th?
Because we could recess the 6th, the 7th, 8th, 9th, however we need to. We just probably need to try to make sure that if we can, that our schedules are, that we're kind of contemplating the potential of needing to meet several times between the 6th and the 14th.
So if we got another 14 to 5 p.m., you'd have plenty of time.
By 4:30.
Yeah, 4:30.
What do we
Just
do per department
use
that
that
are
clock.
represented?
Yeah.
You just have them, let them know you need to show up to a meeting.
The clerk's office is gonna send out an email to all the departments with their list of things that they did not get funded that we were gonna look at as September supplement and give them an opportunity to respond. So I'm assuming, they would respond to Charlotte, and then Charlotte could disseminate all that information to us, and we could take that up when we get back in here on the 6th. And they're of course welcome to be here if they want, but
Do we want to request that they be here if they are requesting some of those funds, to come back with a reason? Any questions this board might have?
Well, if they want it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right.
Well, you got the jail trust asking for 12 million and change, to bring it up to 400.
Say that again.
Jail trust asked for a total of 400 employees, they're wanting 12 million extra. I would think they would respond.
I don't think so.
But you say you're gonna give 8% COLAs now, and they sure as heck do not have 100% employment.
well, they're not represented in that spreadsheet because they're not a general fund department.
Gotcha, okay. Good job on catching up, that's a good window to catch up on. I have no idea. Thank you.
But back to the question of them needing to be here or not, I think it will kind of depend on the ask in the department. So for instance, on grants, I'll just use him as an example. We all know why he needs the money. We've discussed it. If he sends that amount, and he doesn't necessarily have to be here, but it would be beneficial to be here. But some of the other departments, there may be questions that somebody around the table has that will impact the decision, and there's no way to anticipate whether that's gonna be the case ahead of time or not. So it probably would be beneficial for all of them to plan on being here. But if they can't, for some reason, they can submit information to Charlotte or to me if they would like, as far as a narrative, an explanation of why they need it. But that won't necessarily help answer the questions that a member around the table may have. So it would be beneficial for them to be here if at all possible. And we can kind of do what we've done in the past. So for instance, if juvenile has stuff and they're here, we can take them, and Stacy or Keith, or Karen, or Dane and Rich, our directors that are here, on Prim, we could always call them or text them and say, hey, you know, we got some stuff, why don't you come on down now? But the folks that are traveling, we can take their stuff up first. So. Anybody have anything else? So we're gonna talk to our elected officials and then get back on the 6th. So we'll just. What's up?
He said no.
He's not talking to his
Oh.
elected official.
Go ahead.
You can have the conversation to yourself.
Yeah. You're just sitting
We
his
already know. We already know.
We
what
already
yours
know
is.
what you're doing.
Guaranteed.
How did those conversations go?
Well, if I guess if
Is there
Charlotte.
much disagreement?
Lots of disagreement.
Internal strife.
If Charlotte sends out something to everybody, we're gonna have COLA again, if you don't mind sending that out.
Remember
And then,
that.
you know, at least have some recommendations going.
All right, so Danny, go ahead, and you had mentioned, go ahead and add the 9 and the 10 on the COLA. Just so the numbers are out there. And then if we have that discussion, I think the first thing we need to take up when we're discussing the supplement at the next meeting is what's our comfort level there? And then we can move from, once we know that number, then we're gonna know what we have to work with moving forward. So, and Gretchen, if you could mention to Erin if she has any information or recommendation as far as self-insurance and outside litigation. She had a presentation for us a while back, so if she has any updated numbers, that would be helpful.
Pretty much so.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's kind of our
What do you do with it?
Yeah, twice.
That's scary.
Yeah. So, I mean, we definitely need to have enough money in there so that we're able to make it month to month at least, and earmarked money for additional, bare minimum, if not just dumping a what, excuse me, in there. So, all right. So we're gonna wait until the 6th. We're not gonna recess this one. So, okay. All right. Any other discussion on that? If not, any citizens to participate? Seeing none, board comments, District 3. And the clerk, treasurer, sheriff, and then for me, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks, guys.